Thank you, Sheila, and welcome everyone. Today we are talking about workplace mentoring in STEM, which is the topic of a new STEM Connector white paper co-authored by my colleagues Abby Myers and Lena Busini. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see my slides. We'll get into our show. Okay. Though there are many versions that describe what mentoring looks like in the workplace, we ground this work in the definition posited by the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine in their seminal work, The Science of Effective Mentorship in STEM, which describes mentoring as a professional working alliance in which individuals work together over time to support the personal and professional growth, development, and success of relational partners through the provision of career and psychosocial support. The value of mentoring can be revealed in improved employee retention rates, increased employee engagement, and new opportunities for upskilling, professional development, and knowledge sharing. Mentoring can help mentors to develop leadership skills such as communication, relationship building, and active listening. It can also allow mentors to gain broader insight into the organization through the eyes of the mentee and lead to increased job satisfaction and career fulfillment while fostering inclusion and a sense of belonging within the organization. Studies have found that mentors are more likely to be satisfied with their jobs, more committed to their organization, and less likely to turn over compared to individuals who did not serve as mentors. Similarly, research indicates that mentees were more satisfied with and more committed to their careers and had greater intentions to stay with their current organization compared to non-mentored individuals. Some of the benefits experienced by mentees include new opportunities for professional development through shared knowledge and skill building, improved career outcomes, career satisfaction, and self-efficacy at work, increased social capital for broadening professional networks, and gaining a deeper insight into organizational priorities and culture. We have identified 5 stages for building or revamping a robust workplace mentorship program. Stage 1 involves strategizing. Stage 2 is about allocating resources. Stage 3 is focused on providing ongoing support. Stage 4 involves engaging participants, and Stage 5 includes developing plans for monitoring and evaluation. Let's begin with Stage 1. Stage 1 involves developing a strategy that includes focusing on specific objectives, such as supporting new hires or increasing retention rates among early career employees. Determining program objectives will guide the development of mentor training resources that will be used to prepare mentors to meet these objectives. Determining the structure of the program involves making evidence of a need for mentoring, such as data that depicts a skills gap or retention can have influence on executive buy-in. Incentivizing program staff by allocating a budget for employees who volunteer for mentoring will also promote participation and help sustain mentoring efforts. Stage 3 concentrates on engaging participants. Other important considerations include developing a charter, recruiting participants, and strategically matching mentees with mentors. Training is critical for establishing the scope of mentoring relationships and expectations and strategies. It allows mentors and mentees to get on the same page right from the start. Cultural awareness training encourages participants to become aware of how our backgrounds and experiences impact our daily lives and access to resources. Stage 4 involves providing ongoing support. Virtual or in-person training opportunities for mentors are critical for ensuring that mentoring is inclusive and supportive for mentees from all types of backgrounds. Ongoing mentoring workshops can focus on a wide range of topics, including training in diversity, equity, and inclusion. As Mike Swigart from the Aspen Institute Forum for Community Solutions stated, training should help mentors reflect on their own identities, such as race, gender, and sexual orientation, to prepare them to fully listen to their mentees and create space for both parties to show up as their whole selves. Third-party mentoring advocates can assist with nurturing the mentoring relationship and ensure that program goals are being attained. Support can also take the form of webinar presentations and newsletters, which can help celebrate inspirational stories of successful mentors and mentees and promote the success of mentoring programs within and outside of the organization. Stage 5 involves designing an evaluation plan that monitors measures of activity and measures of impact on the stakeholders. Measures of activity can include the number of mentoring hours logged, the frequency of mentoring meetings, and the number of participants retained. Measures of impact can include data gathered directly from mentees through surveys, focus groups, or interviews. These types of data can provide insights about the impact of the program on individuals and can be compared against company-wide data gathered within human resources departments. Collecting data that includes the perspectives and attitudes of the mentors and the mentees will help determine if adjustments are needed to promote program goals. So in conclusion, evaluation of workplace mentoring programs provides evidence of success, identifies areas in need of improvement, and can contribute to the company's reputation as an employer of choice in STEM. And with that, I would like to encourage you to download and read our new STEM Connector and Million Women Mentors white paper entitled Workplace Mentoring in STEM. We have even more exciting information from our expert panel presentation, which we're about to launch into right now. And you'll hear more about each of the types of mentoring programs that their companies offer. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and introduce our exciting panelists. Welcome, everyone. First, we have Ernie Felix. Ernie joined Intel in 1995 and currently leads technical leadership development programs impacting 30,000 Intel employees for a number of Intel's engineering business groups. He earned his Bachelor of Science degree at Arizona State University and is the recipient of this year's Jaime Oaxaca Star Award from the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, or SHIP, which is the highest national award given by SHIP to one of its members. The Star Award recognizes the unselfish and outstanding contributions of an honoree in the fields of engineering and science in the Hispanic community. Welcome, Ernie. Next, we have Jamie Larson. Jamie is the lead program manager and co-founder of Women in Tech, or WIT, and the WIT Squad at Northwestern Mutual. She has over a decade of leadership and mentoring experience. She is currently part of a progressive thinking team helping to move the needle forward for women in tech at Northwestern Mutual. Jamie is passionate about leadership, development, and inclusivity. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in MIS and Finance from the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. And finally, we have Catherine Duranso, the Vice President of Underwriting at MEMIC. She holds a master's degree in business administration and obtained her chartered property casualty underwriter designation. With 32 years of insurance experience, Catherine has a deep mission to mentor young men and women by helping them find their insurance path using their STEM skills. Welcome, Catherine. I'm so excited to have you all here and would like to ask you a few questions so that you can share your perspectives on your own personal mentoring experiences as well as those at your companies. So I'd like to start with Ernie. Ernie, would you share with us how mentoring has impacted you personally in your life or career?
Sure, of course. Hello, everyone. We have all benefited from mentoring most of our lives. Think about who our mentors have been: our parents, brothers, sisters, friends, teachers, and many others. I didn't realize the power of mentoring until, and that I had been mentoring for years until one of my colleagues introduced me as her mentor in a business meeting. It really surprised me. After that introduction and over a cup of coffee, I asked her why she had done that. And she told me, well, over the years, I have learned so many things from you. The advice that you've given me have influenced decisions that I've made. From that time on, I learned to recognize the power of mentoring. I see it everywhere in sports fields. A veteran player talking to a rookie, or on a bus ride, maybe a big sister advising her little brother, or in the case of reverse mentoring, where my daughters educate me on what I should say or should not say, as so not to embarrass myself, or more importantly, not to embarrass them. I found it extremely valuable as well to have multiple mentors in my life. Things to do as it relates to bounce ideas from them, call them up and say, hey, I have this idea, what do you think? Or go over a presentation, or really get into career advice. Finally, what I'll say is what I get the most joy often from mentoring is when I have planted a seed. I have given advice to some of my mentees, and they have taken that advice and they make it their own, and then they start growing their careers. So that's really cool.
Thank you, Ernie. And I have the same question for you, Jamie. Can you tell us a little bit about how mentoring has impacted you personally in your life and in your career?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for bringing to light a topic that I feel is so important. And it's really instrumental, as Ernie said, in all facets of life today. As a person who often sees themselves as risk adverse, having mentors throughout my career really helped me find the confidence to take risks in key situations. So as a result of that, I was able to pursue opportunities that not only allowed me to grow my skills, but also really showcase my work. And in fact, in one situation, by doing so, it actually helped me advocate for my worth, which resulted in a significant pay increase. As a mentor myself, both personally and professionally, it's also brought a lot of joy to my life. Again, as Ernie said, I'm able to share my personal experiences. Obviously, the wins are fun, and sharing the losses and the lessons learned are very valuable with those that you're mentoring. But also to be able to listen and then ultimately guide someone based on what you've learned from them is truly rewarding. It's not always easy, but helping others when they truly reach their potential and they achieve their dreams, there's really nothing like that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jamie. Those are excellent insights. And now I would like Catherine to share how you experienced mentoring in your personal life and career, and what was the impact on you personally? I think you're on mute, Catherine. There you go.
And being a techie, look, my screen's upside down, or the opposite way. But thanks for having me. I'm here from 76 degrees in Portland, Maine, which is excellent for this time of year. So yeah, I've been very fortunate in my 3-decade career in insurance. And Jamie, actually, it started with Northwestern Mutual out of Portland, Maine when I was in college. So my mentor at that time gave me 2 great lifelong lessons for me personally and professionally. And first, they introduced me to mentors of the ages through books and audio tapes of people like Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, and so many others. And it's been a passion of mine ever since. I think I've read every book that Jim Rohn's written, and I've tried to find modern day examples of that in people like Darren Hardy, who's written many books and has a daily message that I subscribe to. or Hal Elrod, who wrote a book about Miracle Morning. So I try to share that as much as I can, and it really makes our business meetings that much more interesting because we're all thinking positive things and sharing interesting articles that we might have read. But professionally, it keeps me focused on our profitable growth, and it keeps us focused on growing the team also. And a second nugget that might sound kind of interesting is they literally dragged me into golf. There weren't many women golfing back in 30 years ago. And it really was a huge thing for my mentor. And what it allowed me to do was meet business leaders that I probably wouldn't have met and had the ability to spend 4 hours of time with them. You learn a lot over 4 hours of time about etiquette, who they are, who you are, how you handle the game. But it's also helped me carry that on with my mentees. I've helped them build their first set of clubs, gotten them into a round of wine and dine and made it enjoyable, but it gave us time to talk business and personal and really create a safe workplace and safe environment for each other. And even today, I mostly as a mentor, but I have great relationships with colleagues where I'm often the mentee, and just recognizing and cherishing those relationships and those opportunities has led to a very successful career and very happy life.
Thank you, Catherine. That's very inspiring. I have another question for you, Ernie, and this one is really going to dive deep into how Intel delivers on their mentoring program. So could you tell us a little bit about how your company's program operates and what the sweet key to success is around that program?
Absolutely. Intel really encourages mentoring, whether it's one-on-one mentoring, group mentoring, formal or informal mentoring. We have a robust tool, we call it Career Connections, and it's accessible to all employees around the globe. Mentors are encouraged to create and submit mentoring profiles, and then mentees can search in the tool for those profiles. There are also mentoring programs driven by employee resource groups. Those are focused specifically on different communities, diverse communities such as women, Hispanic, Black, and other diverse communities. Now, I will spend most of the time talking about the Mentor Circle program, group mentoring that I drive in the business groups that I work with. It began in 2017 with 42 participants in the US only. And in 2020, we have grown that program to about 2,000 participants from 20 countries. In 2021, we have very similar numbers. We run 2 mentoring cycles per year, each with about 1,000 participants. Each mentoring cycle is about 9 months long. Each mentor circle is comprised of 8 to 12 mentees and 1 to 2 mentors. We're finding that 30% of our participants are repeat participants and 30% of our participants are women. So some of the features of the program: we are always open to feedback. We use that feedback to improve the program. In 2021, we introduced 10 significant changes to the program based on that feedback that we received. Another feature is we have a robust resource page for mentors to help them get information and lead discussions on specific topics for their mentor circle. Some of the results that we've gotten is 80+% of the people that have participated say that they value the time that they have invested in mentor circles. Retention rates are higher than for participants than for non-participants. And the last thing I'll say is that 75% of the people that participate tell us that they have increased their human skills, things like communication, influence, networking, and risk-taking.
Wow. I have one additional question, Ernie. So on the circle meetings, do they meet in person or are they virtual?
Good question. When we started back in 2017 and in 2018, we were meeting face-to-face. Because of the pandemic, we have gone to virtual meetings. And it has produced some really cool things, but it has also made it a little more difficult for us.
Wow, that was very impressive. Thank you so much. And Jamie, I'd like you to go next, if you wouldn't mind, and tell us a little bit about your company's mentoring program.
Sure. I would love to tell everyone about WIT Squad. But before I do that, I just want to reiterate a little bit about what Dr. Weber said earlier. The tech industry takes pride in transforming the way that the world works, and oftentimes it does, but one way that it does not is in gender parity. Women hold only 25% of the jobs in tech today, despite making up half the total professional workforce that we learned about earlier. Women in tech truly have an uphill battle. One of our major challenges is the lack of women in leadership roles. Only 19% of women are senior VPs and 18% are CIOs. We know that a diverse work environment with inclusion at its core has more access to different points of view, skill sets, creative visions, and experiences, which is more likely to result in a company producing more innovative products and services for its clients. Northwestern Mutual is committed to creating a diverse work environment, and one of the ways that we're doing that is through WIT Squad. WIT Squad is a forward-thinking engagement program. It was created for women in tech specifically to support, champion, and mentor each other. Rather than sticking to the traditional one-on-one type mentorship programs that you usually see, a group mentoring approach was used in this case. The WIT Squad community now, which is comprised of over 120 participants, both internal and external, is structured around what we call squads. All squads have 5 members and a leader. Diversity was at the forefront when we were creating our squads. In addition to the traditional types of diversity, job level diversity was a critical factor. Squad members range in job level from entry level to senior leader. This allowing members the opportunity to train, mentor, and lead others while also being led. Squad members grow through a stepping stone curriculum in addition to the mentoring and the training that they get with their squad members. The curriculum contains 2 pieces, a full squad and an in-group session. Every month, the entire squad meets to discuss a key focus area such as self-awareness, whole brain thinking, and growing your personal brand. After the full squads meet, each session then individually meets to reinforce what was learned through discussions and exercises. The WIT Squad program was designed intentionally to empower women to recognize their potential as leaders and influencers in technology. We wanted women to grow professionally while also cultivating a sense of community and then nurturing and retaining top talent. It's been truly amazing to see how members have grown throughout our program, and I'm really grateful to have been a part of this.
Wonderful. It does sound exciting. I'm wondering for the groups, is there an incentive or some recognition for participation?
At this time, we haven't done anything like that other than the fact that they do get executive level training that may or may not have been offered to them before. So a lot of that curriculum is based on what our senior executives have experienced throughout their careers. So while it's not a reward per se, it is really truly deep learning experiences that they may not have been offered if not a part of WIT Squad.
That's a fantastic opportunity. Thank you so much for sharing, Jamie. And now I'm going to turn to Catherine for her opportunity to tell us about her company's mentoring program.
Great, thanks, Cindy. And I wanted to start telling a little bit about the MWM Women in Insurance in Maine. We took a little bit of a different approach and we tried to do some network mentoring. And what we did was we started to bring together small groups in an environment that made it comfortable for them to share their goals and talk about where they want to be in their career or specifically advancement. And that's the part, like you were mentioning, Jamie, women in insurance, the numbers are high, but as you get higher and higher in the rankings, it diminishes. It's a very low percentage of women in the C-suites, and then slightly more when you have vice presidents and officers of companies. So we're really trying to work with the women in insurance in Maine. We've brought together some great networking events where we brought larger groups together. And for the holidays, we actually said, that's your gift. We're going to introduce you to different people to help you in your career goals. So MEMIC specifically, though, we wanted to start our own mentoring program. And as you know, when you start to sit down and think about the logistics, it can get a little overwhelming. We had the political capital that you talked about in your paper, Cindy. We had right from the top, the CEO and the senior officers that were ready to join and be mentors. But the real catalyst for us was having an out-of-the-box program that we could use. And that tool allowed us for the mentors and the mentees to take surveys, to add their LinkedIn account with their photos and everything. It has a smart match feature, so the mentees could select who did they think their best mentor would be for that session. But it includes training and resource libraries. It prompts you to weigh in each month and give feedback on what you've done with your relationship. It has great reporting that we didn't have to create. So we get to focus on the real work, which is the mentoring environment that we're trying to create in our business. But some of those reports where you get to learn about the overall program satisfaction, the relationship satisfaction, and just the training itself. So I will say that we thought at the beginning, because we're just in our first year of this mentor program, we did a pilot and now we're in our first full year, we thought COVID could be a hindrance. But what it really did was, instead of limiting us geographically to our corporate headquarters in Maine, it allowed us to expand to our whole footprint where we have fewer employees throughout the country, and we're able to have the virtual mentoring relationships. So we've been very excited. We have a lot of energy around it. We're only in year one, so we have plenty of learning to do. So we'll look forward to diving into your paper to help us out a little bit. Thank you.
Wonderful, Catherine. I really like that smart match feature. I'm just thrilled to hear that there's a technique for matching. Can you just say a little bit more about how that works?
Sure. Well, what it does is it takes a lot of your personality and your interests. So when those surveys that you're taking, so when a mentee goes in to look and it tells them who their top 3 mentors might be. So then they can look and see, oh yeah, all of their interests align with mine, or maybe their experience is what more interests them more, that's the path that they want to go on. So they can see where they had high matches for any different demographic, and then they can select which mentor they'd like to work with.
That's phenomenal. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that information. And now I have one very key question for all of you and for our audience. What advice do you have, Ernie, for mentors and mentees in the workplace that will help them succeed and also learn from your experience?
Oh, wow. Where do I start? For mentees, I say to mentees, prioritize you. Budget time to develop and grow your knowledge and skills. Know who you are. What do you want to get out of a mentor partnership? Set goals and communicate those goals with your mentor. Be prepared, show up. You don't want anybody wasting your time, and you don't want to waste your mentor's time. Remember, it's a small world and we are always on stage. If you aren't prepared, if you aren't reliable, it will impact your brand and potentially your future. Keep your manager informed. He or she should play some role in your development, definitely. Be open to feedback and be ready to provide constructive feedback. Remember, the advice you get from mentors may not always work for you. So it is advice and it is your decision to implement or not implement it. For mentors, be honest, be real, and don't sugarcoat. Remember your roots, the help that you receive throughout your career, and make it a priority to give back. Hold the door open for someone coming in behind you. And remember that mentoring is a two-way street. Hold your mentees accountable and be accountable. And finally, for mentors, your words are powerful. Be aware of what you say. Your words can and will impact lives. And finally, for the company, even though you didn't ask for company, I say mentoring is impactful. Support it, encourage it, and fund it. Make sure that your management team, first level managers all the way to the C-suite, are involved and supportive. And you want to make that experience an effective and efficient experience. So mentoring is time consuming. So you want to make it as efficient and as effective as possible for those involved. So that's my advice.
I so appreciate it. I'm going to remember that for myself. And as I turn to Jamie, it's the same question. What advice do you have for mentees and mentors in the workplace that you either have learned from or would like to have them understand from your experience?
Well, I will say that Ernie gave excellent advice. So the only thing that I would add to that, and what I think is the best advice that I have found to date, is be vulnerable, both mentors and mentees. You're worthy of growth, development, and relationships. Everybody is. Be open to share your story, your experiences, and your opinions. What makes us vulnerable makes us strong and beautiful. And while it can be messy, when we're vulnerable, that's when we truly grow.
Thank you so much, Julie. And Catherine, what advice do you have for both the mentee and the mentors?
Yeah, very good advice so far. So I'll just add to be really curious. Ask those deep questions that might make somebody feel vulnerable. But to the mentee, what are you really looking for out of life, work, everything that goes on around you? And how can this mentor, what can they pull from their past experiences? And to reiterate what Ernie said, being committed, commit to your time and really be there for that person. It's very rewarding. Couple things, keep it fresh with new ideas and keep yourself current. Our CEO and senior leaders took a course from Northeastern University on data and AI for leaders. And that just gives us credibility as we're trying to work with the new generations that are coming out where that's second nature for them. So, but also try and make it an experience so that it's more memorable. That motion creates emotion. And if you do even just like a walking session for your mentor time, or maybe it is playing a round of 9 holes, just to make it a little bit more memorable with that. But lastly, just keep paying it forward. It's very rewarding. And the mentee learns so much from you that hopefully it motivates them to be a mentor as well.
Thank you, Catherine. I have one more question for everyone, and I think it's the part of the presentation that you might not have thought of. So I'll give you a second to think about it because we have about 4 more minutes. And I want you to try to express to us what is the real challenge for you in implementing a mentorship program at your company, and how do you overcome that challenge? How do you see the barriers being reduced in ways that might, clear a path for people trying to initiate a mentoring program or trying to smooth out any conflicts that they're currently experiencing that could lead to a lack of sustainment of their mentoring program. So if you're ready, Ernie, I'm just wondering, what's the biggest challenge that you face implementing your mentoring program?
I'll say something that's really fresh in my mind is commitment, and surprisingly enough, from mentees. We've got our senior leaders who have made a commitment, and this is in the group mentoring program, made a commitment to participate in helping and share their time. And mentees sometimes are, I had a recent case that I was dealing with last night. A mentee committed, we go through a sign-up process and committed to participating. And the mentor was trying to reach out for several months. And this person was not responding. And the thing I mentioned about be careful not to be unresponsive, because that could impact you. So that's a fresh thing in my mind, maybe not the biggest, but one of the things that I've dealt with in the past 24 hours.
I noticed your presentation, Ernie, you were the one who spoke about accountability. And I could see where that could be a real barrier if there's non-responsiveness with senior level leadership giving a lot of their time. And if they're not holding the mentee accountable for participation, that could be wasted, and every minute counts. So I understand that as being a very significant challenge. I'm just wondering, how do you encourage mentees to participate if they are not participating as you just described?
I would say be honest. If you are paired up with a mentor that really there's not a connection, be honest and let that mentor know. You're learning from that experience, but be honest and say, hey, this isn't working, and move on until you find somebody that you can really connect with.
Thank you so much. And now Jamie's turn to share what are your challenges and barriers. I know we all have them, but we don't always talk about them, but here's your chance.
True. I would say we definitely see a lot of what Ernie's talking about too, right? Wanting the mentees to participate and getting them to see the worth in that and the value of investing in themselves. Another big challenge that we've been working on and continue to work on is showing the value of the program year over year so that you can obtain the support from senior leaders and the funding that's required to continue this, because it is industry leading curriculum led by industry experts, and it does take time, and there are tools, and all of that costs money. I know that this is highlighted in the article, and I do think it's something that's really important, is creating a charter, or whatever term you want to use for that, but a document that really articulates the why, so you can ground yourself as well as your participants in that, but then you can also use that as a basis to show others why this is important. What we do then is we continue to stay with that, and then we show it, but we also then support that with metrics. And I know we've kind of touched on that in some of the questions asked, but besides having the charter, having the reasons, having, the purpose, we then back it up, and here are measures that show that this is working. Here are metrics that can prove that when the effort is put in, that this is truly successful. And that has really helped us. It's been really a life changer for our program.
That's my favorite topic, is about data collection and metrics. So I'm just wondering, and I think you mentioned it too, Ernie, do you collect survey data, or how do you collect metrics on your program?
We did. We do collect survey data both at the beginning and at the end for some of our higher level goals, right? Like, is NM a place that you would recommend others to work? Do you feel like there's a sense of community? Because oftentimes we hear for women in tech that they feel like they're on an island by themselves, right? There's not somebody that they can look to say, hey, I'm in this as a group. They just feel isolated. So we wanted to create a sense of community for them. In addition, we work with our HR teams to gather more of the HR type of data, lateral moves, promotions, just all of that type of stuff to see, did this really help in growth and development, performance ratings? So we do a mixture of data, and then we share that. We share that among our leaders within the group, as well as our leaders within technology.
Fantastic. That is so informative. Thank you very much. And now, Catherine, we're saving your challenges for the big finale. Can you share with us what are the barriers that you've experienced?
Sure. I can say personally, it was that time. It wasn't so much that we put in the time, but finding that time. And so often I found that we'd have to reschedule, but I'd at least make sure we didn't reschedule for another month. It might be another day, maybe a week, but not to put it off too far, because then it just gets lost in your day to day. And so that was on both sides. We'd find, oh, we can't make this one. And that was one of our biggest obstacles, was finding that time. But the two words I wrote down when you first asked the question were communicate. And so we get a lot of data that we have from the monthly surveys that everybody takes. So sharing that information so they know where people are focusing on, and everybody can share that experience. And then also the measurements, like you were talking about, Jamie and Ernie. It's important to measure it, because if you're not measuring it, it might not get done. So having that available to show that most of the conversations were about either career development or skills that they wanted to hone in on, or outside interests, or how to balance being a working mom and a business professional. So those types of things, and being able to communicate that to the group so that they understand the value throughout the organization.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Catherine. My field is evaluation and research, and so each one of you very much inspired me around that issue of making sure you're taking the temperature of your program in some way, and each of you had unique opportunities for that built in. So it's now my pleasure to thank you for your time today, and hopefully you will read the white paper that my friend Abby Myers and Lita Basuni did create. It is available on the Atlas app that I think Joe mentioned at the beginning of our presentation. And hopefully all of our audience will also access that particular paper. It has a lot of insights and even more information from our presenters. So thank you everyone for your deep insights into workplace mentoring. It is now my honor to introduce Tori Moore, cosmetic chemist from Olay Proctor & Gamble, who will share with us her perspectives on Olay's Face the STEM Gap initiative and their recent collaboration with Million Women Mentors. Take it away, Tori.